Hello everyone, Buzzkiller here, and welcome back to the channel. Now, as many of you may know, I recently received my HTC Vive in the mail, and for the past few weeks, I've been playing just about every VR game I could get my hands on. Now, some of them have been great, others not so much. So I thought since Star Citizen Alpha 2.4 is still a ways off from a public release, I'd go ahead and list my top 6 favorite made-for-VR games available on the Vive. Now, my HTC Vive was my very first experience in virtual reality, and so far I've been very impressed. But because it is the first and only VR headset I've used, I really have no basis to compare it to, say, the Oculus Rift, Gear VR, or any other headset. I went with the Vive because it was backed by Valve and Steam, and as of right now it's the only headset to offer room-scale VR straight out of the box. Of course, Oculus will also support room scale once they've released their touch controllers to the public. So, with that being said, let's get started. Set in 2050, in a world where robots have completely replaced humans in the workforce, Job Simulator is a virtual museum where humans can go to see what it was like for their ancestors to actually earn a living. Job Simulator lets you jump into the shoes of an office worker, mechanic, cook, or convenience store clerk. The game's graphics are simple, but well executed, and add to the game's unique charm. That, along with a healthy dose of humor, secures this game the number 6 slot in my list. In the game, once you've selected a job, you're given a series of tasks to complete, but most of the fun in this title comes from exploring the environment and pretty much doing your own thing, no matter how ridiculous that may be. Hover Junkers is a multiplayer shooter where you fight your opponents while piloting various floating platforms called, well, junkers. The gameplay is pretty straightforward. You fly around until you find another player, then attack them, you with a variety of weapons. Killing an enemy player yields scrap, which can then be used to upgrade your junker with armor to hide behind. Game modes include the standard free-for-all and team deathmatch. Each weapon you use has its own unique reloading mechanic, requiring you to duck under cover as you perform them. Another cool thing about the game is the ability to use your hands to send emotes. You can give someone the thumbs up, hang loose sign, or just flip them the bird. All in all, the game is a lot of fun, but could use a little more diversity in weapons and map choices. The only single-player option at the moment is a shooting range, where you can try out the different weapons on a static platform. What I'd like to see, however, is a single-player tutorial that teaches you the mechanics of how to fly, pick up loot, and upgrade your junker, as these were gameplay elements that I had to learn while constantly under fire from other players. And I'm sure I'm still missing a few elements in there. The Gallery Episode 1, Call of the Starseed, is the first chapter in an episodic, story-driven puzzle game. In it, you take on the role of Alex as he searches for his lost sister, who recently vanished while investigating an alien artifact. In the game, you use various tools to solve puzzles, which unlock new areas for you to explore and search for clues your sister left behind. One of the coolest things about this game has to be the inventory system. Alex carries a backpack that can be removed to access its contents at any time. The bag uses a really nice and intuitive holographic system to sort and store your items. Of course, Alex himself can only hold 2 items at a time, so making the right choices can be crucial to solving the various puzzles. The game is visually beautiful and a lot of fun, but its one shortcoming is, well, it's kinda short. Expect to finish the first episode within a couple of hours. And with the huge cliffhanger at the end, the Starseed will leave you begging for more. Coming into the number 3 slot, we have Vanishing Realms, which is an RPG made for room-scale VR. In it, you explore various areas to find loot, which is used to buy new and better equipment. Combat includes melee weapons like swords, shields, and hammers, as well as ranged weapons such as bows and even a magic wand. The inventory is set up kind of like a tool belt. When you look down, you're able to access various weapons, tools, and other items. It can be a bit clunky at times, especially when you're in a hurry to find the correct weapon, but it does get the job done. Your gold, health, and mana levels are also displayed on the belt. Your opponents primarily consist of sword and bow-wielding skeletons, but also include flying magic users and larger bosses as well. As with most of the VR games I played, Vanishing Realms is pretty short, but if you take the time to explore and find everything, it can last upwards of 3 hours. I'm not sure if the developers plan to release further episodes, but I'm hoping they do, as the game is really fun to play. Next up, we have Audio Shield. If you've watched my previous videos, you should already be somewhat familiar with this one. It's a simple rhythm-based game where the object is to block orange and blue spheres with the corresponding shield. The spheres themselves fly at you in time with music. Points are based on the percentage of total orbs you block, consecutive hits, physical activity, and artistic expression. The game comes with a variety of songs, and more can be found online. You can also import your own MP3 music and play along with that as well. There are 2 arenas to choose from, and a scoreboard where you can check your rankings versus the rest of the world, or limit it to your local region. On higher difficulties and faster tempo songs, the game can be quite challenging, not to mention a pretty good cardio workout. The orbs are randomly generated based on the difficulty level, so no 2 playthroughs of a song are exactly the same. Due to this replayability, I've probably put more time in on Audio Shield than the rest of the games on this list combined. And finally, in the number 1 slot, we have The Lab by Valve. Now, The Lab isn't really a game per se, but more of a tech demo. That being said, it is tons of fun and really showcases what the Vive is capable of. The Lab is based on the Portal universe and contains a lot of that game's signature humor. In the demo, you're placed into a laboratory with several different experiments for you to try out. The experiments consist of mini-games that range from robot repair to defending your castle from a horde of stickmen. As you complete the experiments, you're rewarded with various toys and trinkets to play with in the main lab. Finish defending the castle, for example, and you get a bow and arrow to play with in the lab. The level fidelity in this demo blows just about every other game in this list out of the water, and really makes me wish that Valve would do more games. Who knows, maybe in the future we'll get a full VR version of Portal, so keep your fingers crossed on that one. And that about wraps up the list, but I did want to leave you with at least one honorable mention, and that's Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous has been out for quite some time, and I've already put quite a few hours into the game. And though it wasn't primarily made for VR, it still ranks at the top of my virtual reality experiences. VR brings an entirely new dimension to the game, both literally and figuratively. In VR, you actually feel like you're sitting in the cockpit of your spacecraft, and the objects moving around you in 3-dimensional space bring a level of immersion that I haven't felt in any other game so far. I've played Elite Dangerous with TrackIR in the past, but VR completely blows it away. There are a few issues, however. Due to the lower resolution of your typical VR headset, text can be a bit difficult to read, and interacting with the star chart can also be quite a challenge. Of course, the graphical fidelity of the game does suffer a bit as well, but in my opinion, the feeling of presence is well worth those trade-offs. The thrill of squeezing my ship through the narrow entryway of a space station when docking is probably one of the most amazing experiences I've had in VR so far. And with that, I think it's about time to end this video. For a full list of games that I've played that didn't quite make the cut, see the description below. If you would like to see a more in-depth review of any of these games, or have suggestions for other games I should try, let me know in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please show your support by hitting that thumbs up button, or if you haven't done so already, by subscribing. Sharing the video with your friends or on social media is also greatly appreciated. I'm going to have to level with you. The channel has been struggling a bit lately, so if you have any suggestions on how to make improvements, please let me know. Once again, this has been Buzzkiller, and I'll see you next time.